Hey guys, welcome to That Pedal Show. Dan here.
Hello, Mick here.
Today we're talking about subdivisions, Mick.
Before we do that, I think you'll regular viewers will notice that we're in a slightly different environment.
Oh yes.
Why not?
We're at Riffs in
Swindon, yes. Great little live music venue. We've come here because we just need a bit more room, and we thought,
do.
yeah. So that's anyway.
That's lovely.
Enough
so,
of
yes.
that. And we can bring more amps.
We can. Check it out. Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah.
Jimmy looking lovingly over in the background. All right, so to start off with, something that no one's asked me about, but you.
That's not true.
Isn't it?
It was a comment on the... We've been asked to do subdivisions about delay, and there are a few of you, again, thanks very much for all the comments, and somebody is a few people in fact have asked for an explanation of subdivisions, and I'm pleased that they've asked because I don't understand. Okay, so subdivisions. Subdivisions has to do with the delay time in relation to the tempo of the song, okay? So a really great example is The Edge from U2 and the way that he uses subdivisions. So I've set up a memory man, okay? So here's the sound. I've got the King of Tone, a little bit of reverb on there, going into an AC30 and the Mallard amplifiers. Just a little bit of loveliness. Yep. Now, I'm going to put on the memory man with that, and we'll hear this. So there's the echo, the timing of the echo. Now, normally, if that's the echo time, okay? Yep. And I play in tempo to that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, there's the tempo. So that's quarter note. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So that's a quarter note subdivision. How about before we get into subdivisions, okay, why don't we just start with... So why don't we start from the basic, you play a note and it delays, and the tap tempo on most people's delay pedals. So let's start from the beginning before we've even got into subdivisions.
Oh, okay, okay.
So let's explain how delay time works from the top. What about that?
Right, okay.
And I apologise if this is like kind of behind anyone's intellect, but it's still in front of mine, so... Okay,
so what we'll do then, I'm going to move over to this pedal to free the tone, because this actually has the tap tempo on there. I'm going to set the subdivision on here. Okay, so let's go back down to quarter note. Okay, so the quarter note subdivision, if I tap 1, 2, 3, 4, it's going to give me an echo on every quarter note.
That's what most people will recognise when because most delays, if you haven't got it set for subdivisions, are going to be set just a delay at a straight quarter note delay,
exactly.
Right? And we can happily see here that that's 531 milliseconds, right?
Exactly. We can change that to BPM, which is beats per minute.
Yeah.
Okay, this is 113.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's rather clever, this free the tone pedal.
Yeah.
Okay, so with a quarter note subdivision, it's one repeat for every quarter note.
Yep.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I'm doing... So those repeats are in time with what's being played.
Yeah.
Okay?
Even I can understand that so far.
Can understand that? Okay. Standard tap tempo subdivision, quarter note subdivision. Now what we can do then, we can move from that. If I move to the next subdivision, which is a dotted quarter note. Okay, so it's basically a quarter note and an eighth note together. So what will happen now, instead of it going, I'm going to tap 1, 2, 3, 4. The delay will go, instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, the delay will go 1, 2, 3. So it'll happen on the quarter note plus an eighth note.
And the eighth note.
Right, which is a dotted quarter note. So
does that mean you get two repeats then?
doesn't mean you get 2 repeats. But what happens is the repeat echoes rhythmically against what you're playing.
Right.
So instead of the repeat coming in bang on what you're playing on the quarter note, the repeat will come in on the offbeat.
Okay, let's hear that.
So again, if I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, and I just play a straight quarter note phrase.
Okay, sounds swung.
Yeah.
Does it sound swung, or is that just what I'm hearing?
That would just be me being rubbish.
Okay.
But what's happening there? You'll play a quarter note, then you'll play another quarter note, and the echo from the first quarter note is repeated 1/8 note after the second quarter note. Does that make sense? So you go bum bum, and then the echo from the first note bum 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 bum. So it repeats after the second quarter note.
So if you just play me one note, just play and hold. You do
Okay.
So you could hear that as just a straight quarter note at about whatever that is, 800 milliseconds.
Yes.
But it's not that.
It's not that. It's not. It's only relevant to the tap tempo.
Yes.
Okay.
Because, yeah, okay.
So if you look at the blinking light,
Right.
and that tells the tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hear that coming in an offbeat? 1, 2, 3, 4.
My timing skill's not great.
No. Even.
So now it makes sense, because the thing that I never understood about subdivisions, and all I would have had to do was go on the internet and find out, but the thing that always confused me was when you listen to it in isolation, it makes no sense, right?
No, of course.
Because it only makes sense in relation to which is what you said right at the beginning. I'm sorry it took us so long to get there.
No problem. No problem at all. So that's a swung, not a swung, that's a dotted quarter note.
Yeah.
Okay. Then if we move up to, we have a dotted eighth note. So this is basically the one that everyone goes on about. Actually, we're gonna come back to the dotted eighth note.
Yep.
All right.
When we talk about Dave Evans.
When we talk about Dave Evans, Uncle Dave. Right. So here we have the standard eighth note. All right. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4. What's going to happen with this tempo? With an eighth note, it's going to basically, instead of coming in on the quarter note, it's going to be twice as fast. So if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Tell you what's really interesting about that is that even though you're on an eighth note subdivision,
Yes.
and your tempo is about, which is whatever that is, the eighth note repeat is actually 251 milliseconds, isn't it? So it's displaying a correct millisecond representation
Of what the delay is. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's not displaying the tempo.
Nor is it displaying the date on which we arrive in the future. Marty! It looks uncannily like the dashboard of
It's
the
totally
DeLorean.
brilliant. Do you know, I was somewhere the weekend and there was actually a DeLorean.
Really?
A real DeLorean. In fact, I'm going to cut it in to this video now. How cool is that?
Fantastic. So, that's the eighth note.
Yep.
Okay, now we're going to have a quick look at the 16th note subdivision. Now,
And there we go. It's
half the 250.
Half. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
See now lights are going on.
So this is going to give us a 16th note. Okay. So if we got 1, 2, 3, 4, this will be. All right. That 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
4. So the echo will be.
Okay. Can we just do one thing just to recap? So let's set our tempo. The tempo of our song is. Well, we'll do it, and then we'll go quarter note, eighth note, and 16th note, and just explain in fundamental terms how that sounds. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
So what you're going to hear now is, let's say we're playing. I'm going to think of a song. Let's say we're going to be playing "All Right Now" by Free. Now, Dan's not going to play the guitar parts, so Dan's not going to play the guitar parts. Okay, so there's our tempo. So you can imagine in the background, "All Right Now" is going on. And what you're hearing now is a standard quarter note repeat, which means it goes in time, the tempo of the music, right?
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
So
quarter note, 4 beats to the bar.
Yeah.
Okay. So we tap. 2, 3, 4. Boom, boom.
Okay, so without changing the tempo of the pedal, so just for the final time, let's do a quarter note repeat. Now let's change that to an eighth note repeat, and remember that the tempo of the song isn't changing.
And
so bear in mind we're still playing "All Right Now." That's how fast the song's going, and now we'll go to a 16th note repeat. Yeah. So, apologies for doing it so mind-numbingly simply, but that's how I need it explained.
no, that's great. So you can see how it breaks it up. Basically, it halves those divisions. The 16th note subdivision is basically the country subdivision. So 1, 2, 3. That's the slapback thing.
So I've just realised, because the thing that I could never work out with subdivisions is why don't you just tap in a faster delay? And the reason is because you couldn't tap that fast.
No.
Okay, now things are starting to make sense.
There we go. So let's get to the dotted 8th note subdivision. Okay. You'll hear this about the subdivision everywhere, and every pedal that has a tap tempo has the dotted 8th note subdivision.
Yep.
Okay. Mainly because of David Evans, aka The Edge. Sorry, let's do that again.
I think you should leave that in. That is the 1970s. We just witnessed the 1970s. Do you remember when you were a kid and your dad used to bang on the top of the telly to make the picture go straight? That's what just happened there.
So that's the difference between the vintage and lovely new stuff.
Yeah.
However,
for anyone who doesn't remember the 70s, lucky you.
So yes. So this is an old Deluxe Memory Man. Wonderful.
I'm not seeing a readout that says dotted 8th note repeat there.
Exactly.
And nor is it telling me the BPM.
No.
Or indeed the.
Come on, you can do it.
Nor is it telling me the milliseconds.
No.
So how do you know it's a dotted 8th?
It's the way that you play against the delay. Okay. Here's a little clue for you. This is the maximum time of the Memory Man. All right. And this is why all the U2 songs are at this tempo. Now, if I was to play against that as a straight quarter note, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, that's the quarter note. But to use it as a dotted 8th note,
okay.
So here's what's happening. Here's what's happening. With a dotted 8th note, I'm playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's my tempo. Right? The 8th note of that is. Now the dotted 8th note is an 8th note plus a 16th note. All right. So what's happening, if I play 2 eighth notes together, the first note I played is then repeated 1 16th note after the second eighth note. And what it gives you, I'm playing an eighth note.
Yep.
What you're hearing is 16th notes.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So here's what I'm playing without the delay. Now with the delay,
and there we have it. So if, first off, the Edge uses a combination of 2 delays, right, to get his...
So
let's not even get into that.
No, but he's also used a lot more delays than just the Memory Man. The old SDD 3000 used for ages.
So just to save us 300 comments, we're not saying this is what the Edge does and this is exactly how he does it. We're saying to get into that ballpark. Let's just cover that off.
Okay.
Otherwise we'll get 500 comments going, you don't know what the Edge does. This isn't about how to get the Edge's sound.
No.
So now what I want to know is then, we've got no readout on the Memory Man to tell us that that's a dotted eighth note delay.
Right.
How do we replicate that on the Free the Tone? Is that possible?
Good question. So what I need to do is find the tempo. So 2, 3, 4, 1.
I'm already too confused with the dotted eighths going on.
Okay, so if we're going to replicate what's going on in the Memory Man,
Yeah.
all right, if I find that tempo, 2, 3, 4, then I tap it here, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 70s, 1, hang on.
But we're on 16th note subdivisions now.
Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and what I'm going to do, I'll put this in dotted eighth note subdivisions. There it is. So if I go from the Memory Man, now to the Free the Tone with that tempo, with a dotted eighth note.
So it's pretty much. So what we can deduce from that is that even though the Free the Tone is set to dotted eighth note repeats, because of the way it displays its delay time, we know that that delay time is 365 milliseconds, which means to get your dotted eighths to play in the tempo that you were just playing, the Memory Man is set at about 300.
About that, yep.
About 360.
Yep.
What do we know about Dave Evans' delay times?
I don't know. What do we know about them?
Isn't one about that and one's about 400 and something?
Oh, no, sorry. Oh,
Yeah.
God, no, okay. One's about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one's, you know, so what happens is they play, rhythmically, they'll play off against each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was really, so I've learned 2 things so far.
Okay.
One is 16th note is the country
Yep.
delay, and dotted eighth is your 80s Edge type delay. Any
Yeah.
other?
Another dotted eighth note guy, the Run Like Hell from Dave Gilmour.
Yeah.
You know, but so lots of guys use it. Albert Lee's used it before.
Yeah. It's a great one for not playing very much and sounding like you're playing much faster,
Exactly.
isn't it?
Well, it gives you those 16th note things. Where I'm just playing.
And whole careers were built.
Exactly.
So we're stumbling very very directly into Shadows territory.
Okay.
Yeah, so right, again, neither of us are Shadows experts, but
No.
Hank definitely used dotted note delays, and maybe because he used his multi-head tape delays.
The WEM copycats.
Yeah, and
you
all
know,
of that
yeah.
to create those delay sounds.
Mhm.
So, yes, there was me thinking, you know, I get a delay time of 320 milliseconds, and that gives me a nice little repeat for Robin Ford style. Actually, it's just so much deeper than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because you can play against it rhythmically.
Yeah.
You know, that's the big thing about it, and it's an amazing sound. When you hear the difference between this old Memory Man, you know, because it's just got such a and the through the tone, you hear one's really dirty and organic, and one's so ultra clean, sort of like the TC 2290 type thing. But they're very different voices. Yeah, so the quality of delay that you use has a massive effect, which is why you can't really do shadow stuff without a tape delay. It just sounds wrong.
So am I right in saying that in order to get a subdivided delay, a subdivision, you don't need a delay with a button that says subdivisions on it. You just got to set the delay time right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a little bit more laborious.
Yeah.
You know, setting your delay times up with the Memory Man because you're so limited with time.
Yeah.
You know, it sounds awesome. You set maximum delay time. You find your coordinate. You get your edge type delays, but you've got up to 380 odd milliseconds to find where those subdivisions are. But you have to sit down with it, and once you've got it set, if you can't store that sound, well then you know, if you want to change it between each song, you've got to mark it really.
A great advantage of having a pedal that will do it for you. So your drummer kicks off. He's had 2 pints of Stella. He was late to the gig. He's already like 10 BPM quicker than he should be into the song.
I think it's safe to just say, you know, he's a drummer. He's 10 BPM quicker.
So, or even better, he starts off at the correct tempo, but by the end of the song, he's like. Anyway, sorry, drummers. So the great benefit of that is you've got you know that you need a dotted eighth delay, but you can just tap them.
Just tap it in.
You don't even have to think about
it.
Yeah.
Tap it in. They are so handy.
Yeah.
That was a Happy Gilmore quote, by the way. You know,
oh,
I saw the vacant look in your eyes. Just another one. Anyway, but they're fantastic. Which is why the tap tempo feature on this new series of analog delays, like when we look at the King of Tone, not the King of Tone, the ADRX20 that we checked out.
ARDX20.
The ARDX20, sorry. The ARDX20, the Amazio, that has subdivisions in it as well.
Yeah. So
that you can set up your tap tempos, and there's a few other analog delays that have the subdivisions. Just fantastic.
Yeah.
Very handy.
I get it. I've gone from not understanding to understanding and thinking, okay, yeah, because that's a creative tool, isn't it?
Very much.
It's not just a bit of echo. It's a rhythmic creative tool.
Yeah.
To give your song a backbone, just as we know with the Pink Floyd track, and as we say, whole career's been levered from that.
Yeah, and it's a great sound. You know, I think you have to give the Edge credit. Whenever you hear that sound, it's unmistakable. You know, it really is his signature thing. I mean, even now, when he hasn't really used that sound for such a long period of time, that's what he's known for.
Yeah.
You know, and it's when you consider that, basically a three-piece with the singer.
Yeah.
And the delay just gave him such a massive sound.
Well, Coldplay, same.
Yeah.
Because it's I mean, all right, it's not just a three-piece with the singer, but it's a smallish band, and those kind of rhythmic delays used all the way through everything just to give the whole thing like a backbone, a rhythmic backbone.
Yeah. It really adds. It's great. So, Mick, what have we learned today?
Okay, well, this is a good question because I started off not knowing anything.
Okay.
So I've learned that I couldn't see the point in having a delay pedal with subdivisions on it, because why wouldn't you just set the delay time for what you need? However, I think a light bulb has gone on as to why a subdivision function would be tremendously useful, errant drummers notwithstanding. I've also learned that having the right kind of delay with a great sound, crunchy repeats, bit of modulation, that makes a massive difference.
Especially when using this context. If you're not just adding the delay to have a little bit of depth into a solo, if you're using the delay as the actual foundation for the character of the texture, You know, it makes a massive difference. You know, which is why, you know, I think, you know, one of the comments I got with when I did the Ed O'Brien with his Memory Man, when you hear the sound of that in that video, and everyone just lost their minds over it, because it is such an amazing sound, but you really can't get that. I've never heard that in another pedal. You know, lots of great delays out there, you know, but that particular sound you don't get anywhere else. So, you know, they really have a character all of their own. It's like if you have a really good tape delay, once you've found a really good tape delay that you love, you don't go back. You know, they are an instrument in their own right. They're just wonderful, which is why guys will go to the effort of dragging around, you know, echo plexes with them to a gig. Because they just have a thing that is just amazing. So if you're into delays, then I can understand, you know, some guys who are, you know, who delay is their thing, how you can actually really get lost in it. I must admit, I have too many delays, but, you know, every time I'm thinking of, oh, you know, I haven't used that for ages, and I plug it in and go, oh, actually, this does this sound, you know, they're amazing. So, Subdivisions. I hope that was helpful, guys.
Very cloudy 20 minutes ago, much less cloudy now.
There we go. Very good. Cheers, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you learned something, and we will see you next week.
See you next time.